test. Welcome everyone to Uprise Astrology Podcast. My name is Aylin Sky. We have another big week ahead of us. The energies are definitely building all the way until October. And I believe that this week is going to definitely mark that kind of a beginning where everything is going to start building. The storyline is building even more and more. And a lot of us are headed towards building and manifesting new things in our life. And so this week is going to be a big week because we are going to be rethinking what it is that we want to create or what it is that we want to plan ahead of us. So Mercury Retrograde is going to be on the horizon next, and we're going to take a look at all of that. But before I get started with the charts, I just wanted to introduce myself again. If you are here for the first time, welcome to the Uprise Astrology Podcast. My name is Aylin Sky. I'm here to give forecasts with astrology, and I focus on numerology. I couple those two things. And sometimes we pull some tarot cards as well. Now, if you are here for the first time and you would like to hang out and you like the content that I create in regards to astrology, numerology, and forecasts, and if this helps you, then let's hang out. Subscribe to my channel, ring the bell. Make sure that you do that because that way you get notified whenever I put out a new forecast or any kind of new videos that might help you to kind of navigate what's coming. That is my intent and my purpose. Everything that I'm creating is to help you guys to kind of navigate what's coming up in the week ahead or with the energies ahead. And hopefully that works for you and that you like that and subscribe to the channel, right? And so the other thing that I wanted to share with you guys is that I am currently on Instagram and TikTok. You can find me at Uprise Astrology Podcast. It is great to follow me on those platforms because I put out unique content. That content is to kind of help you, give you a little bit of a brief, very short overview of what's coming for you and your zodiac sign. So if you like that kind of thing, if you're into Instagram or TikTok, you can follow me there. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to dive into the charts. And I'm going to pull up and put up the chart for what is to come. We're going to go through everything day by day. So this forecast is going to be from Monday the 9th until Sunday, May 15th. So the first thing that we are going to be taking a look at here is that Monday, May 9th, the sun is going to be in Taurus at 19 degrees. And the theme that I wrote here is velocity. So there is a sense of us coming into Monday feeling like we are excited, feeling like there could be themes of like immersion. That is what that kind of chart reminds me of right here when I'm taking a look at the Monday energy. The moon is going to be finishing up in Leo at the third decan. We kind of feel bold. There is a part of us that feels excited, but we also are immersing into this type of theme where we feel a bit more assertive to kind of overcome things from the past. That could be a theme here. There could also be, because the moon is going to be finishing up in Leo, there could be a theme here where I think we want to be a bit more courageous. So all day long, there is sort of this sense of, okay, I'm ready now. I'm ready. I feel bold. I feel like I'm overcoming the past. Now, the other thing that is worthy mentioning here is that on Monday, the sun is going to come into a sextile with Mars. And that is going to be a bit more of an assertive energy. Mars in Pisces can be assertive, but it's assertive to on a spiritual sense, or a sense where we feel like it's our faith that drives sort of the energy. And so there is a sense of overcoming with faith, the past, and it could be some new or unusual ideas or inspiration that could come in on Monday. So that's the Monday energy. As we move along to the next day, this is going to be for May 10th. The sun is going to be on Tuesday. The sun is going to be in Taurus at 20 degrees. This is where I see that we are going to be coming back to the basics. This is also where Mercury is going to station to go retrograde in Gemini at 4 degrees. So let's break it all down. The sun is going to be in Taurus at 20 degrees. What I'm seeing here is that there's a sense of us wanting to kind of clarify things in our life, or wanting to kind of peel back to the basics. 20 degrees is a very sort of a degree of feeling like we are immersing ourselves in what we feel is most important, but there's also a sense of wanting to protect what's important. And so what I'm seeing here is that with the moon going into Virgo in the first decan, there is sort of this hyper focus on ourselves. There is a hyper focus to kind of get things organized and come into some clarity. And of course, you want to take a look at where this is happening for you in your chart, which today in this video that I'm doing, I am not going to be breaking down every single one of the signs. I am going to do a little bit more of a deep dive into that Mercury retrograde in another video. So what you want to see is, well, where's the sun? And then where is the moon happening in your chart for Tuesday? This is going to be a really great energy to kind of get yourself to come back to the basics. It's a great energy to get a new understanding that could surface by you just simply decluttering. And it could be decluttering on all levels, right? This is mind, body, spirit. This could be in your physical space. This could be in your job. Anything that requires sort of a new goal setting or a clarification or a decluttering, this is a great energy for that. Now, Mercury stations to go retrograde on this day. And what I want to mention briefly here is that this Mercury retrograde, the theme that I'm seeing for majority of you guys is that it will be, our mind is going to be on clearing and completing. This is super important to mention because Mercury is going to be in Gemini at 4 degrees where it is stationing. So it's important, in my opinion, what I'm observing a lot with these Mercury retrogrades is whenever it starts to station, you want to pay attention to where you're at, what you're doing, because those are the themes you're going to be working over in the next several weeks before it starts to go direct. Now, we're going to maybe feel this in a more subtle way. As the week progresses, we're going to start to realize that we're going to be in this Mercury retrograde because there are sudden sort of plot twists that are happening. But what is happening for Tuesday in particular is that we're starting to sort of get and dive into this clarification theme. And we're wanting to complete either a particular part of a project or a particular part of our understanding in order to move on, in order to make something happen, in order to build towards something new in our life. Because a lot of us are now in this place where we're either strengthening what it is that we're doing in our life, or we're building towards something new because we're in Taurus season. So this is going to be the theme. I see that during this Mercury retrograde, I want to give you a little bit of a prediction here. Many unpredictable yet very stabilizing outcomes are going to come with this Mercury retrograde, because by the time Mercury stations direct, which is going to be on June 3rd, it is going to station direct in an earth sign, Taurus at 26. This is where whatever it is that we're clearing out, it really is going to give us a new platform to find confidence and build confidence. This is also going to be leadership skills because 4 degrees My observation with that number and that degree in any sign is about leadership skills. It is about management skills and managing maybe assets and resources, right? Because it is going to be in Taurus when it stations direct. And I also want to add something else here because we are at the fourth degree, which is a degree that is ruled by Uranus. This is going to be an understanding of endurance because Uranus is in Taurus right now. So we are starting to understand, okay, what are some of the missing pieces that I have to incorporate in order for me to have more endurance? So this is a little bit of a brief overview of some of the themes that could be coming up on Tuesday with this Mercury stationing retrograde. What's so interesting is that when we go forward a day, this is going to be on Wednesday, May 11th. The sun is going to be in Taurus at 21 degrees. And I see that we are going to be addressing insecurities on this day, or some kind of insecurities, or some type of self doubt could be coming up on this day that has to do with our worthiness, that has to do with something that shakes us maybe at our core because we are in the Taurus themes. This has to do with stabilization. This has to do with us feeling like, okay, this is something that I was relying on, but perhaps I can't rely on this thing anymore. And so on Wednesday, we start to have a little bit of this plot twist. What is this about? Well, 21 degrees is usually a degree that has a lot to do with promises. It has to do with truth. And here in Taurus, we are going to be looking at, okay, well, what's the truth about my worthiness? What's the truth about what it is that I'm trying to build, what I feel like I could rely on that provides the stability for me? So we see that kind of a theme. Now, the moon is going to be still in Virgo finishing up. And so now what we're doing is we're not only just hyper focused on ourselves, but we are hyper focused on what is happening in our day to day, which I think is just so interesting here. We're focused on what we're doing in our day to day. And that comes maybe with a little kind of dose of criticism. Is it enough? Am I doing enough? Is this enough? Am I focusing in the right kind of a way? So there is sort of this Mercury retrograde feel that we're starting to see now. There is sort of this, okay, I'm not sure that I am doing enough or that this person is doing enough. There's like this criticism that could come through and this sort of hyper focus on those details. And I think that what's important to remember here is that, okay, so what are these details that really matter to you? Do they really matter? Why do they matter? This is when we start to unpack those types of things. Again, depends on where this is happening in your chart. Now, I'm going to pop the chart back up because another thing that is happening as we progress throughout this day is that the moon is going to be in an opposition to Mars. I'm going to try to pull this up and just kind of move forward with the hours. Let me just see here. There it is. The moon is going to be in an opposition with Neptune here. We see that. And then also with Mars. At some point, it is going to, move forward in the hours and come into that opposition. And so what I think is going to be really, really important here to remember is that this is the kind of energy where we could have a sharp reaction towards things. And the reason we're going to have a sharp reaction is because we are in this hyper focus energy, right? On Wednesday. So you want to be mindful of what kind of conflicts could arise with that. And sometimes because the moon is going to be involved here and it's the moon's energy, this could be a conflict that you're having with friends and family or the people that are closest to you because it's the moon. So it's anything that provides sort of like comfort, but then we're in this hypercritical place. That could be a conflict that arises with friends and family members. So you want to make sure that you're paying attention to, okay, so who are you having this conflict with? Who are the people that, matter to you the most? And what is the detail? Work it out, right? Try to maybe understand where this hypercriticism comes from if that is the theme that you're diving into. Majority of us may not feel this during this day, But this is something that I'm seeing that could come up, or these types of reflections could come up, right? I want to also show, though, that right after there is going to be a moon sun south node trine that is going to focus on us rebalancing where we're losing vitality. So it is sort of like, okay, we have that tension, we have that criticism, but we're able to dissolve the tension by addressing the insecurities with any kind of boundary issues. And I'm going to move forward here just a little bit in the chart so I can kind of show you guys. I wish that I would have a way to kind of point out or circle out all of the planets so that you guys could see this. But I just want to come back here to kind of show you what is happening on this day. So here we see that the sun is going to be forming a trine to that moon in Virgo. And then the moon in Virgo is sextiling the south node in Scorpio. The south node in Scorpio is a boundary that we're rebalancing here. And the truth of that boundary and what does that actually look like? So what I'm saying is that once we get through that Moon Mars opposition, right after we get this opportunity to see, okay, what are some of the insecurities that come up in my work, in my relationship, in my daily routine, in my, choices of food, wherever this is unfolding for you in the houses, right? So we get this opportunity to address it and actually cut ties with that kind of insecurity if we are taking the invitation, right? Because everything in astrology is an energy that plays out. And then, of course, if we just kind of actively are aware of these things, we can start to make differences for ourselves for the better over and over again, right? And so that is what I'm seeing here for Wednesday. I know that was a lot, but it's like a lot going on already this week. And then, leading into next week, we're going to have a lot of moving pieces. So let's move on into Thursday's energy. So we see the chart for Thursday here. On Thursday, the sun is going to be in Taurus at 22 degrees. And what I'm seeing for this day is that there is another plot twist that's happening, and that has to do with unexpected relationship dynamics that are surfacing. Now, why am I saying that? Well, the sun is going to be in Taurus at 22 degrees. We are going to be in this place where we're starting to take a look at anything that breaks down our self-worth. Or there could be some things that are happening where the theme is here a breakdown in self-worth. Again, the 22 is a degree that is related to the Uranian energy. And so there is some unexpected sort of theme here. There is also a theme of insight. There is a theme of trying to think outside of the box or having to think outside of the box, having to do things very different because we have to innovate a particular area. So for those 24 hours, I think that what we're looking at is with the moon in Libra, it is going to be now a waxing moon in Libra at 7 degrees. So we're sensing that there is a shift in relationship dynamics somehow. This is a waxing moon that is going to be building towards a lunar eclipse in Scorpio. So there is going to be sort of this sense and this shift and an ultra sensitivity to relationship dynamics that are happening now. Now, what I'm also seeing is that we will have to sort of pay attention and catch anything that isn't true or even feels deceptive. There is a theme of deception, there is a theme of illusion, or there is a theme of something not feeling right. So, for the sake of keeping peace, it could be a day where we continue to sort of, with a particular attitude, but other thoughts or feelings are running sort of predominantly in the background, letting you know, oh, no, this might not be true. We may have to come back to this. This might not be the thing that, I am believing, or there's something that doesn't feel right about this particular situation. And so that's running in the background. Now, why am I saying that? Because the waxing moon, it's going to be a waxing gibbous moon in Libra at 7 degrees, and it is a degree that is connected to Neptune. And so with Neptune, we're dissolving the boundaries, right? There's sort of a sense that we're dissolving the boundary, but with 7 degrees, it's a highly intuitive number. And so we are going to notice more of these nuances that are running around in the background, even though in the forefront, because it's Libra, even though in the forefront, we're able to kind of, for keeping the peace for now, we're kind of able to keep going with the norm. So on this day, it is going to be really important to notice these types of things, or you might notice these types of things. I also am predicting for many of you, you could have a lot of very important dreams on that day or that evening as you wake up into Friday that will have some important healing messages for you, important things that come through that you had not considered before, or you are starting to notice some, deep sort of understanding that have to do with themes around self-confidence, that have to do with themes around what is really important to you and where you cannot not pay attention anymore, in that kind of a way. So that is what I'm predicting. The other thing that I want to show you guys is, by popping the chart back up, we are going to have the sun be in an opposition with the south node in Scorpio. So on this day, there's a lot going on, in the sense that, when I saw this opposition, we could be running into sort of this theme of self-importance or reckless actions, or themes around abuse or addiction that come with a high cost. And this high cost has to do with, it could have to do with money, because the moon is in Taurus. The south node in Scorpio has a lot to do with our survival instincts and our needs. And so we cannot forget that there is also now in this chart with Pluto, there is a connection between Pluto and Black Moon Lilith at 28 degrees. And so what comes up here is that there could be themes of feeling envious. There could be feelings of jealousy that could surface all of a sudden. That is also running in the background. You're noticing that this kind of relationship dynamic is going on because it's Libra, the relationship dynamics. And so I feel, when I was taking a look at this day, is that there is sort of an understanding now all of a sudden that there could be someone that is creating an opposition, or someone that actually isn't the person that they said that they were, or their emotions come up and you start to realize, wow, this person is not for me. Or in the worst case scenario, where the pendulum swings in such an extreme, way, it could be an enemy. It could be someone who definitely doesn't want you to succeed, who definitely doesn't want you to up level or be the person that you are, or somehow there is some kind of, you know, um, threat involved in this. And so this comes up, and it could be connected, because it's a south node in Scorpio, to a dynamic or a theme that reminds you where someone is so ambitious and so self-centered that they're driven by wanting to benefit themselves only. So these are the deep themes on Thursday, as we're diving more and more into this Mercury retrograde and headed towards the lunar eclipse in Scorpio. All this stuff matters, right? Because we're starting to see where we may have to cut ties, where we may have to put boundaries into place that allow for us to move forward with a sense of security. The sun in Taurus, the boundaries and the trust and the reliability with the south node in Scorpio, right? And so this is what I'm seeing for Thursday. No big deal. You guys let me know if you're noticing any of these themes. And what I'm going to do is now move forward to Friday. And on Friday, what we are taking a look at on Friday is sort of this. We wake up with this breakdown in noticing all the themes that I just mentioned. Because when we wake up, the sun is still going to be at 22 degrees, but it's going to move on in the afternoon to 23 degrees. And so what I'm seeing here is that this is a feeling where we're starting to understand worthiness, the subject and the themes of worthiness, the subject of where we feel like we could maybe be rewarding or more towards like kinder towards ourselves, because it is related to our worthiness, that there is something that we want to preserve. It has to do with perseverance. It has to do sort of with rewards. If you are putting in the work in a particular area of your life where you're trying to bring in more worthiness, this is going to be a time where I think that you're going to start to realize, where are you actually really fortunate in your life? Where are you really blessed in your life? What is the definition of worthiness right now? What are some of the things that you're really diving into that define worthiness for you, right? This is what we're looking at. But the moon is going to be finishing up in Libra. So we are noticing still relationship dynamics. So relationships are in the mix of all of this, right? Because our relationships somehow, this is the plot twist this week, right? That Mercury retrograde, it's like we're working on one thing, but then it starts to shift our focus to relationships. And so this is another thing that I'm noticing here with this chart. That's what I'm seeing. The South Node is going to be trining Neptune and Mars that day as well. So we're going to come back to sort of a sense of overcoming. So we start that week out with this immersion of this sense of overcoming something, this excitement, and we're coming back to it after we're starting to realize, well, what is like part of that story? And relationships are part of that story. So we're overcoming. There's a sense of overcoming. There is sort of a hope that's rising with that, and a faith that we are coming back to. And the other thing that I want to say is that ultimately we're going to understand on this day that we're going to cut certain ties. We're going to cut certain dynamics. We're going to cut certain patterns out that don't allow for us to hold a strong space with ourselves or the goals or our life or love. It can be in anything depending on where it's happening in your chart. So that's what I'm seeing for Friday. Let's put the chart back up and move forward to Saturday. Saturday, the sun is going to be in Taurus. What I'm seeing for this day is that we're going to be holding space. This is a time where we're holding space. Let me just move forward in the hours a little bit because I want to just show you. So here's the sun already at 24 degrees in Taurus. So we're holding space. And what are we holding space for? This is going to be about self-worth and trust. This is going to be, of course, the moon is now going to be in Scorpio as well. So we're definitely going to be taking a look at boundaries and self-trust. The South Node is going to be trining Neptune and Mars still, but it perfects on this day at 22 degrees. And so I think that, not only are we coming back to sort of this sense of overcoming the past, but now with Mercury also here still at 4, really slowing down, going into this, part of reviewing certain aspects. I think that what we are going to be asking ourselves is, am I allowed to think this way? There is sort of this sense of like, should I be thinking this way? And if I think this way, what are the consequences? What is going to come with me thinking this way? And there's also sort of this rethinking or reviewing of, can I pull this off? If I were to cut ties, if I were to put these boundaries in, if I were to view myself in this light, am I going to, am I going to pull this off? So there's a tendency to want to overthink something on this day. It's really important to go back to your feeling of what feels right, what feels like you can really lean into, you can really rely into it, because the sun in Taurus, it is about reliability. And it is also about you like, okay, what do I feel about that? What is true in my heart about that, right? So with Mercury here, try not to maybe even over communicate. There could be a tendency to want to ask this person and that person and this person for their opinion. And ultimately, it's not a good thing to do on this day. On this day, it's just sort of like receive the info. You might not have all the answers, should you be thinking this way? Can you really pull it off? What do you believe about that? Reviewing that is going to be really important. All right, let's move on to Sunday. We're going to put the chart back up. Sunday, we are finishing up the week in a sort of spiritual way, in a way where I think that we are going to realize, okay, this is sort of fate. There's fate kicking in on this day. The sun is going to be in Taurus at 25 degrees. This is where I'm seeing that we're going to have a higher perspective now. By the time we get to the end of the week, we're going to have a higher perspective on ourselves, on the subjects of worthiness, on the subjects of, how we're thinking, how our thinking impacts relationships, what we're, to think now, what we have to review now. There's a higher perspective around it. But it does come with sort of a deep, intense, and profound kind of theme. And the reason for that is because so the sun is going to be squaring Saturn at 24. This can be a very domineering energy. This can be a controlling energy. This can also be an energy where you start to notice that some people, the relationship dynamic shifts that you're realizing, there's another plot twist. Some people are very over meddling. They're like in your business. This is like, I'm in your business type of energy. It can also be possible jealousy, because someone is maybe jealous or envious of you feeling free, you feeling confident, you like living your life in the way that you see fit. And somebody else is like, that is not how you should be living your life. And so there's this energy here that goes, back and forth. And of course, Mercury will have moved on to the 3rd degree. Now it's going back, reviewing. Well, I am changing the way that I think about myself, or maybe I have to change the way I think about myself. But why is this person or why is this situation feeling so controlling, right? I may have to change something about the way in which I am approaching all of this, or how I'm communicating, how I'm dealing with all of this, right? So whatever happens on this day, we begin to kind of believe something entirely different. And that is a good thing, because it is going to bring us sort of into ultimately this sort of place where no matter what's going on, right? We have to keep going. No matter what's going on, despite any negativity, despite any pessimism, we have to keep going. That is the message on this last day. The sun in Taurus at 25, that's the higher perspective. Like, what is the alternative? That's what I'm seeing here for Sunday. So this is going to be a big week. I mean, it's been a lot. Like I said, when I come back to another video, I am going to be doing a deep dive where this is really unfolding for you in your chart. But today, I just wanted to make sure that we went through this week, and you guys let me know if this really helped you to kind of go through it day by day. This is a new format that I've also incorporated here to kind of let you know exactly what's happening and unfolding every single day. The next thing I want to do is we are going to be diving into the collective reading, and I'm going to be pulling cards here for the collective reading. Today, I am going to be pulling from this card deck called the Tarot of Mystical Moments. So we're going to switch things up, and we are going to be pulling from this card deck. What a beautiful card deck this is, Look at how shiny it is too. That's kind of cool. I mean, I feel like there's so many tarot decks now, and they all just become, prettier and prettier. People are so creative. So I'm going to pull one card for the collective. We're going to see, okay, so what's coming up for us to take into consideration also, and for you to take into consideration also. The Justice card. Wow. Let me just come in a little bit closer. So we see the Justice card. Well, the first sense that I'm getting from this is that this is a time of karma completion. Wow. It's a time of karma completion. It is going to be a time where we have to start paying attention to our participation in relationships, our participation in our own life in a much deeper way, right? This is a week where we start to realize that, okay, I want so many things, or I want to create some things in my life that feel better, right? Ultimately, we always have a pattern where we're trying to better something. With this Justice card, we get the opportunity to take a look at that. We also get an opportunity to make decisions at this time in a way that will be profound, We see the Justice card with the scales, right? Like the scales have to be rebalanced. Who we are, what it is that we're trying to create, it's in a rebalancing state right now. And the other sense that I'm getting from this is that relationships and what has been done in relationships that was not okay will resurface here in a way where we start to take control of something that we had to maybe take control. We couldn't take control during that time because of the place that we're in, because of the way we were thinking, because of the way that maybe we didn't think that we were worthy of doing things different. Maybe we didn't think we could speak up. This is another one of those things where I think that we are starting to realize with Mercury retrograde in Gemini, we may have to speak up and we may have to be our very own best, lawyer, so to speak, in circumstances that, in the past could have been just overpowering. And so that's what I'm seeing here with the Justice card. That's something to take into consideration this week as well. Where do you feel that you need to speak up for yourself? Where do you feel you need to advocate for who you are and what it is that you are wanting to do? And it requires for you to come back into balance by doing that. Okay, that's what I'm seeing here. The next thing that we're going to do is I am going to be doing a special message for one specific zodiac sign. I do this in all of my weekly readings. So I have a dice here. We're going to be rolling this dice inside of this little this little wooden jar. And let's see what zodiac sign needs a message this week. It is Taurus. Happy birthday, Taurus. I can't believe it. So cool. I can't believe it. Okay, Taurus, let's do this. We are going to continue to pull cards from this deck. So Taurus, what is your special message this week? Okay, let's see. Okay, the first couple of cards here that fell out. We have the Ace of Pentacles. So many of you Tauruses, you are looking at I feel like a lot of you are in a new relationship foundation building process. You are in like this construction zone phase right now. And the reason you are there is because you are reviewing what is worth your time and who is worth your time. This is huge, okay? You're in the beginning phase of that. The next card that came up is the Two of Pentacles. So what you're doing is, okay, what's the next step? And a lot of you will actually have relationship dynamics come into play with this because first you want to square away what it is that you feel is really important in the building phase in your relationship. So I feel for many of you, this has to do, of course, with money. This also has to do with what you feel you want to invest into, like money wise or something physical, something that is really important to you that you've been trying to maybe create in your life, or you're trying to buy, you're trying to obtain this thing that's really important for this next phase. But it not only benefits you, it benefits everybody around you in a big way. So a part of you is in this construction zone to dive into your relationships, because your relationships will matter. And there are maybe some surprising elements in relationships for some of you. And I want to take a look at this because what is it that you're not expecting here in relationships? Yes. Okay. So you can't be the person that is putting all the work in and then everybody reaps the benefits of it. That is really, really important. You are going to be, I feel like a lot of you do not expect this right now, but you're going to be in this place where you're going to start to pay attention. And the reason you're going to pay attention is because there's a person in your life that is making you feel sort of defeated at times. Who is this person? It's going to come up in a conversation this week. You're going to realize that this person is sort of making you feel a particular way. and you never caught that before, you're going to catch it now. That's what I'm saying. Very important conversation piece that is going to surface here. We're going to start to realize, wait, you are the person that's carrying the weight of all of this all the time, and it just can't be like that anymore. So there is a very important conversation that has to happen between you and another person. And perhaps this other person does have an important job, or they have sort of an important project that they're working on, and they may not even notice that they're doing it. So Taurus, that is your message, okay, for this week. Thank you so much for watching. That's a wrap on today's video, or if you're listening to it on podcast, this is a wrap on today's episode. You can listen to this on the podcast version on Apple, on Spotify, on Google Podcasts. I'm basically on all of the podcasts. So whatever podcast platform that you're using, I am on that podcast. You can find me. And so thank you so much for watching. I will be back for another weekly show next week. This is going to be the week where we're going to dive into the lunar eclipse in Scorpio. And that's when we're definitely going to be, suddenly realizing something doesn't work anymore. We got to let it go. We can't be attached to it anymore. But we're going to talk a lot more about that in the next episode. Again, thank you so much for being here, guys. I really appreciate all of the comments that you guys leave me. So if there's anything you want to share with me, you can leave a comment below this video. Everything that I offer is in the description box below, how you can support the show. If you want to book a reading with me, all that info is in the description box below this video. Again, thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful week, and I will see you here in the next video. Bye.